Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to explore something new.
Well, today we're tackling a preprint that really caught my eye.
Yeah.
It's all about AI and knowledge graphs, but with a really cool twist.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Instead of just summarizing the paper, we're going to try and understand how this AI actually thinks.
Like peeking into its brain and seeing how it organizes information.
Exactly. It's like we're becoming AI anthropologists.
I like that analogy.
Okay, so let's start with the basics.
Sure.
The paper introduces us to something called graph reflexor.
Reflexor?
Yeah, it's an AI model, but not the kind that just learns from a fixed data set. You know what I mean?
Right, most AI models are trained on a static set of data, like a textbook.
And they're kind of limited by that, right?
Exactly, they can only learn within that textbook.
But graph reflexor is different.
How so?
Well, imagine instead of just reading one textbook, this AI is building its own library.
Building its own library.
Yeah, pulling concepts from different sources and connecting them in a way that makes sense to it.
Like creating its own personal web of knowledge.
A knowledge graph, yeah. And get this graph is constantly growing.
So it's not limited by a fixed set of information.
No, it's always learning, always making new connections.
That's a game changer.
Right. In one example, this AI's knowledge graph grew to over 3,800 nodes and 1,1900 edges.
Wow. That's a massive amount of information.
It is, but the really cool part is that these connections aren't random.
They form patterns.
Yeah, distinct patterns that reveal how the AI thinks.
Like what kind of patterns?
Well, we'll see things like hubs, which are like central concepts that hold a lot of information.
The main idea is the big picture stuff.
And then we have bridges, which connect different clusters of knowledge.
So it's not just memorizing facts, it's understanding relationships between them.
Exactly. Think of it like a mind map, but on a massive scale.
I'm starting to see how this is different from your typical AI.
Oh yeah, this is next level stuff.
So how did the researchers actually test this AI's knowledge-building abilities?
They gave it prompts like, discuss an interesting idea in bio-inspired materials science.
So it had to actually come up with its own ideas, not just regurgitate what it had read.
Exactly. It had to research, explore, and synthesize information just like a human scientist would.
Fascinating.
And in another example, they asked it to explore impact-resistant materials.
Did it build a different knowledge graph for that?
It did. Over 2,000 modes and 6,000 edges. Completely different structure.
So it's adapting its thinking to each new challenge.
Exactly. That adaptability is key. It means this AI isn't limited to one specific domain.
It can apply its skills to a wide range of problems.
The potential is huge, but here's a thought that crossed my mind.
What's that?
If this AI keeps building its knowledge base, won't it eventually hit a wall, like information overload?
That's a great question. We humans certainly struggle with that.
Right. Too much information can be paralyzing.
It can be. But here's the thing. The researchers found that graph reflexor seems to have a knack for organization.
Like it has its own built-in filing system?
In a way, yes. Even as its knowledge graph grows, it goes through these phases of exploration, consolidation, and reorganization.
So it's not just hoarding information, it's actively sorting and categorizing it.
Exactly. And that organized structure is what allows the AI to do something pretty remarkable. It can generate hypotheses.
Wait, hypotheses, like actual scientific ideas.
You got it. The AI is using its knowledge graph to come up with new theories and ideas.
Now that's what I call next-level learning.
It's really pushing the boundaries of what we thought AI could do.
One example that stood out to me was this idea of bio-inspired adaptive materials for resilient ecosystems, or BAMES for short.
BAMES, huh? Sounds interesting.
The AI basically proposed the idea of materials that could adapt to environmental stresses and even help with pollution mitigation.
Wow. So it's not just regurgitating information, it's actually synthesizing it and coming up with new ideas.
It's blowing my mind.
And the researchers found that when they compared the AI's output with and without using the knowledge graph, the difference was huge.
I bet. So it's that interconnected web of concepts that's really giving this AI its edge.
Exactly. It's the structure of the knowledge graph, the way it connects those dots, that allows the AI to go beyond simple summarization and into the realm of true understanding.
So we're not just talking about AI as a tool anymore.
Right, we're talking about AI as a collaborator, a partner in discovery.
This is getting really exciting, but I have to ask.
What is it?
How does this AI organize all this information? The paper mentions something called a scale-free network.
Scale-free networks.
Yeah, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it's a concept that pops up in a lot of real-world networks, from social media to the internet itself.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine a social media platform where a handful of celebrities have millions of followers, while most users have a much smaller circle.
Like some individuals are just way more connected than others.
Exactly, and that's what we see in Graph Refenelser's knowledge graph too.
So certain concepts are like those super connected celebrities.
You got it. Those highly connected nodes are often the central concepts, the big ideas that anchor all the other bits of information.
Like the main chapters in the AI's ever-growing textbook.
Precisely.
And what about those bridges we talked about earlier? Where do they fit into this scale-free network?
That's where things get even more interesting.
Tell me more.
As the AI learned, the number of bridge nodes steadily increased.
So it's not just gaining more knowledge, it's getting better at making connections between different fields.
Exactly. It's becoming a multidisciplinary thinker.
Like a scientist who can see connections between, say, biology and materials science.
Precisely. Think about how often we get stuck in our own silos of expertise. This AI, free from those limitations, could unlock a whole new level of interdisciplinary discovery, seeing connections that we might miss.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is, but it raises another question.
What's that?
How do we actually see this multidisciplinary thinking in action? Is there a way to track how the AI is connecting these different ideas?
I'm all ears.
The researchers use something called longest shortest path analysis, which sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty intuitive.
Okay, break it down for me.
Imagine following a winding path through the AI's mind map, starting from one concept and seeing where it leads hop by hop until you reach the furthest point.
So we're tracing the AI's thought process.
Exactly.
I like it. What did they find?
Well, in one case, the path led from materials for infrastructure design all the way to rare genetic disorders.
Whoa, that's a pretty big jump.
Right, it passed through concepts like biodegradable microplastics, machine learning algorithms, and personalized medicine.
It's connecting ideas that seem completely unrelated on the surface.
Exactly, it's finding hidden patterns that we humans just haven't noticed yet.
And remember, this AI isn't just passively connecting these concepts.
Right, it's actively reasoning about them, generating new ideas and hypotheses along the way.
So it's not just building a map, it's using that map to explore uncharted intellectual territory.
And that exploration can lead to some truly groundbreaking insights.
Like what?
One of the paper's examples focused on a prompt about designing impact-resistant materials.
Okay, and?
The AI actually proposed a new material design that integrated carbon nanotubes, self-healing microcapsules, and a network of sensors for real-time monitoring.
Hold on, are we talking about materials that can repair themselves?
It does sound like science fiction, doesn't it?
It does.
But that's what's so fascinating about this research. The AI, drawing on its knowledge of different materials and their properties, hypothesized that this combination could create a composite material that's not only incredibly strong, but also capable of autonomously repairing microdamage.
Wow. Imagine the implications: bridges that fix their own cracks, buildings that become more resilient over time.
It's like we're on the verge of a materials revolution.
This is incredible.
And it's all thanks to the AI's ability to connect the dots to see the potential in combining seemingly disparate concepts.
It's both thrilling and a little bit daunting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This AI isn't just summarizing information, it's synthesizing it, connecting the dots in ways we might never have considered.
And that highlights a crucial point.
What's that?
We need to move beyond thinking of AI as just a tool for automation or efficiency.
I agree.
It has the potential to be a true partner in discovery, helping us expand our understanding of the world in profound ways.
We're moving from AI as a tool to AI as a collaborator, a co-explorer, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's a new era of scientific discovery.
But with all this talk of AI generating hypotheses and making groundbreaking discoveries, it makes you wonder,
What's that?
what are the limitations of this AI? Is there anything it can't do?
That's a crucial question, and one the researchers are actively exploring.
Okay, so they don't have all the answers yet,
Not quite.
but we're working on it.
Oh, absolutely. This is just the beginning.
Well, I'm definitely hooked. I can't wait to see what they discover next.
Me too. It's an exciting time to be following this field.
Definitely. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have, and it's only going to get more interesting from here.
So be sure to join us for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into the world of AI and knowledge graphs.
We'll uncover even more amazing insights and explore the potential impact of this technology on the future of scientific discovery.
We'll see you there. So where were we? Ah, yes, scale-free networks. It's like, are we talking about popularity contests inside the AI's brain?
Well, not exactly a popularity contest, but you're getting the idea. Certain concepts act as hubs, like those super-connected celebrities in your analogy.
So they're the big players, the concepts with the most connections.
Precisely. They often represent those core foundational ideas that hold a ton of other information together.
And what about those bridges we were talking about, those connections that link different knowledge clusters together? Where do they fit in?
Well, think of it this way. The AI is constantly learning and building its knowledge base. As it does that, those bridge nodes, they become even more important.
So it's not just about the amount of knowledge it has, but also how well it can connect different areas.
Exactly. It's like the AI is becoming a master interdisciplinary thinker, able to see connections between fields that we humans might miss because we're so focused on our own specialties.
Okay, so it's multidisciplinary, but can we actually see how that plays out? I mean, how do we track how the AI is connecting these different ideas?
Great question. The researchers use something called longest shortest path analysis.
Longest, shortest path? Now that sounds a bit complicated.
It does, but it's actually pretty simple. Imagine you're tracing a path through the AI's knowledge graph, starting at one concept and seeing where it leads you step by step until you reach the furthest point.
So we're mapping out how the AI's thoughts travel, connecting different ideas.
Exactly. And get this, in one example, they found a path that went from materials for infrastructure design
Okay, that's pretty straightforward.
all the way to rare genetic disorders.
Whoa, wait, what? How did it get there? That's like a giant leap.
It is, but it makes sense when you see the steps along the way. The path went through biodegradable microplastics, machine learning algorithms, and even personalized medicine.
It's connecting ideas that most people wouldn't even think to put together.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so exciting. This AI isn't just passively connecting concepts. It's actually reasoning about them, generating new ideas, even hypotheses along the way.
Hypotheses, like actual scientific ideas.
You got it. For instance, in another case, the AI was given a prompt about designing materials that are resistant to impacts.
Impact-resistant materials, so thing that can take a hit.
Exactly. And based on its knowledge, it actually came up with a totally new material design. It combined carbon nanotubes, self-healing microcapsules, and even a network of sensors.
Hold on, rewind. Self-healing, like the material can repair itself.
That's the idea. It's like something out of science fiction, but it highlights the power of this AI's approach. It's not just summarizing what it's learned. It's making connections, drawing conclusions, and even coming up with new solutions that we human might never have thought of.
That's incredible. But also a little bit scary, right?
I get what you mean. It's both exhilarating and daunting to see how this AI is pushing the boundaries of scientific discovery.
We're not just talking about AI as a tool anymore, are we? It's more like...
A collaborator, a partner in pushing the frontiers of knowledge.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, where does this all lead? What happens when AI becomes this good at understanding and manipulating information? It really makes you think, what are the limits here?
That's a great question, and it's one that the researchers themselves are grappling with. One of the things they highlight is interpretability.
Interpretability.
Yeah, like we can see what the AI is doing, right? It's building this incredible knowledge graph. It's coming up with hypotheses. But it's still tough to fully understand why it makes certain connections or how it arrives at certain conclusions.
So it's like we can see the amazing output, but we don't always get the behind the scenes of its thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, especially when we're talking about scientific discovery, we need to be able to trust the process, not just the results.
Absolutely. We need to understand the AI's reasoning, not just blindly accept its findings.
So how do we get there? How do we make this AI's thinking more transparent?
Well, that's what the researchers are working on, ways to open up the black box, so to speak.
So we can see the gears turning, understand the steps it takes.
Exactly.
Because the more transparency we have, the more trust we can build.
Precisely.
But even beyond the technical stuff, it makes you think about the bigger picture, the ethical side of things.
Oh, absolutely. That's crucial.
As this AI gets more powerful, more sophisticated, we need to be really careful about how we use it, right?
Right.
What are the unintended consequences? How do we ensure it's used responsibly?
Big questions, and ones we need to start addressing now.
Because we're talking about a potential revolution here, a world where AI isn't just a tool, but a partner in shaping our understanding of, well, everything.
It's exciting and a little bit scary all at the same time.
Definitely a lot to think about. So, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Well, for me, the biggest takeaway is this. This AI isn't just mimicking human intelligence. It's developing its own unique way of thinking.
Its own unique way of thinking, huh?
Yeah, it's structured, analytical, and it's amazingly good at finding connections between things that seem totally unrelated to us.
And who knows what other hidden connections are out there just waiting to be discovered, right?
Exactly. That's what makes this so exciting.
It really does. It's like AI is giving us a new lens to see the world through.
A new way to explore and uncover hidden truths.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm officially mind blown. This has been an incredible journey into the world of AI and knowledge graph. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to explore these fascinating topics.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The field of AI is constantly evolving, so who knows what amazing discoveries lie just around the corner.
Stay curious, folks, and keep exploring.